Welcome to Avnewscast.com on News Talk 1380.
Boy, that's like the alarm clock going off in the morning.
Yeah.
Zero.
Shut down.
No notice whatsoever. No. Well,
It's exciting that way.
Yeah, you like it that way.
Mm-hmm. There's a
happy.
familiar face.
There is. I'm happy to say we've got an in-studio guest. Miss Carol Stanford sits on the board of the Palmdale School District. Carol, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I was surprised yesterday to hear that you've been an educator for 37 years.
I have. Just a little rundown on that is that I subbed off and on for a few years while my children were younger. And I did my student teaching at AV High School with my own high school teachers who inspired me to be who I was. Mr. Alfred Guzman, I loved him. And he's still alive today. I just met his daughter. Then I went to work for the county as a court school teacher in the jail.
Oh,
wow.
Actually, and I enjoyed that a great deal. And then I started at Palmdale High School and did 11 years there. I was the ASB advisor, the cheer advisor, taught English, had amazing, wonderful kids. And then I moved to Highland. And I spent 21 years there. My brother was a counselor, and his wife was a counselor, and it was kind of a family thing. I had both my kids in my classes as they were growing up. I know, that was different. And then I went to AV High School as their instructional coach. I was out of the classroom for about 6 years. And I was only there for a year, but it was the year the state took them over. And the things I learned, and the things I'm learning today, I wish I could almost go back in the classroom because I've learned so much, even in the 5 years I've been on the Palmdale School Board.
Wow.
And Jeff, you're a former student.
Yes.
You know?
So don't feel too bad about the gray hair. It's more the mileage than the years, but yeah.
That's kind of cool. And yesterday there were actually 2 fellow students yesterday.
Both
at
the
the
kids.
Yep.
Actually, and my son was in the groups, and my niece, who also were my students. I see students everywhere I go, and it makes me really feel good because it's kind of a passionate thing, and when you see them have a good life, you think, wow, this was really worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, the makeup of Palmdale has changed considerably over let's say the last 10 years.
Demographics.
Okay. Yeah, the demographics have changed considerably. Minorities that maybe would have been minorities back in 2001 are not minorities today. How has that changed within the school and the way that you guys teach?
I think it's made us better teachers. I grew up in the Antelope Valley. I graduated from AV High School, and frankly, it was an all-white school. It was just crazy, and we didn't know that's how it was. That was just the way we knew it was. But it started changing, and it got more diverse, and I like it. I love all these kids. We have kids who come in who don't speak English in K, and think their name is Junior, and we love them. They're so cute. But by 3rd grade, they are proficient. They are proficient in English. They are proficient in Spanish. We have dual immersion schools where we're learning both languages, and I think it's the challenge is back in the day we didn't identify people as special ed or different labels like that, and now we're meeting the needs of all kids and not just setting a few kids in the back of the room and saying, don't bother us, because now it's equality across the board for all kids.
Right, but like the LAUSD school district, they say that they have a lot of kids that come in, let's say kindergarten, that don't speak English. And up here we have that situation as well, where it's completely different if you were in Woodland Hills, let's say.
That's really true. A lot of it is about money, that part of it. Like the closer you go to Quartz Hill, probably the better the scores go up that way. But in our case, when I first came on the board, we had Raul Maldonado and Jeff Brown had both been doing EL, and we just looked at them and said, we got to do better, and we were testing them on No Child Left Behind on the state tests, and we saw that their scores were pretty low, and so we said we've got to do better. We can teach these kids, and so we just started doing professional development with our teachers, and their scores just started coming up, and they're equal now. In fact, they're in the majority. Our Hispanic kids are probably 70% of our school district, and they're scoring higher and higher and higher every year, and they can do it, and our teachers can do it. Special ed kids, I had a class, this will just make you cry. I had a class at Ocotillo that a year ago, they all scored far below basic. And this year, everyone in this class scored proficient.
Nice.
So you can do it. It's just about a can-do attitude. And our teachers are amazing because we've asked them in the last 4 or 5 years to really step up to the plate through professional development and through PLCs, which are professional learning communities. They meet together like once a week, in an hour. It's not enough. But they say, what are you doing? How is it working? What things do we know that we need to cover right now? And what mastery do we need to have of it? So it's such a cool thing, and it is. I went to training with the DeVores for PLCs. They sent me to Harvard to learn to do professional rounds, which is more rigor in the classroom. That's why I kind of like to go back to the classroom. I see all those years I was doing a good job, but I could have been doing an excellent job.
But in the last 5 years, you've seen the overall scores come up dramatically.
Oh, dramatically. And, it's not acceptable that a school is not doing well. So we've had our junior highs really needed love. We've really had some issues with our junior highs. And we've turned them around by making them schools of choice. And Juniper will be gone in the next year and a half. When my kids went there, I loved it. I know. But
first grade through 8th grade there.
Yeah, we did. It was great. My son was in the jazz band with Mr. Meyerhofer. I mean,
still friends with him on Facebook.
Oh, he's great. But so anyway, we're opening the Millen School, which is an avid school, and the scores are high. We're building in a new campus. And Juniper is becoming Dos Caminos, which is a dual immersion school. People are fighting to get in there. It's now K and first. It'll be second next year. And it's just a wonderful little culture and atmosphere. And we're also putting our autism and our special ed schools there on that campus. So everything can be made excellent. You just have to go and look at it and say, what do we have to do? We have the Aerospace Academy we just opened. It's going wonderfully. We're adding grades as we go along. My friend Barbara Gaines, whose kids went to school at Palmdale with Jeff, she is the most amazing principal at a middle school. And the scores are high. The teachers they just have such rigor and they're working hard. I went out there the other day and she had an orchestra, a string group that was playing, and then I did Zumba in her PE class.
Oh wow!
And I mean, who wouldn't want to be on that campus?
Yeah.
So we're given. You got to make it so the parents want to be there. They want to fight to get in there. It needs to be a good place, not a place where you just come because you hate it.
You mentioned something about the junior high schools making them a school of choice. What does that mean exactly?
Well, it's a lot of it is a lottery. We have our Learning Plaza down here, which is an IB school. It is K through 8. It is a lottery to get in there. I mean, the scores are well over 800. They have been for several years, and there's a lot of parent interaction. It's a beautiful big campus. Again,
That's how the Aerospace Academy was lottery, too.
Yeah, and I will just be honest with you. Somebody said the other day, they said, could you get me in? I said, no. There is no pull here. Everybody's name goes in on a little ball, and they pull it out, and that's the way it works. So and people from Lancaster and Quartz Hill want to come and go to our schools of choice. If you go out to Los Amigos or Dos Caminos, the dual immersion schools, you would want to be there. I've done several instructional rounds there. And you go in, and half the day is in Spanish, and half the day is in English. And the kids, they all have little speakers that are in the ceiling, and the teachers all have these microphones on, and you hear every enunciation. You hear it just the way it is, and then the kids speak back. And it's just a cool environment. They wear uniforms. I went the first day, and this little boy said, Mom, you're going to make me late. We have to be here on time. And they have this thing about never missing school. Like 98% of the kids go 98% of the time.
Wow.
It's cool. It is.
My son was going to go to the Aerospace Academy, and that was lottery, so that didn't work out. And now he goes to Desert Willow, and he actually, he really loves it there.
Oh.
And I said to him, if you could go to another school, do you want to go to another? He said, no, I like it here, Dad. I want to stay.
Wow. That just speaks to what we're doing. Wow.
Yeah, he likes it. I hate the fact that he gets detention relatively frequently.
He's in junior high.
Yes, but he gets detention not for anything bad. It's a very secure school, and getting onto the campus, the kids all have to have their IDs, and I bought him several, so he's got backups and everything. He still leaves those at home, and you go to school without your ID, you're in detention.
Wow.
That's how the high schools are too. You have to have your IDs, and My little freshmen, I had freshmen my last year I taught, and they're all over the place. I got them tied on their waist, tied on their book bag, you know.
They check the kids for ID?
Yeah.
You have to because it's when a foreign element comes on your campus, it's not good.
No, clearly, I know.
Right, and that's where the problems begin. So yeah, every kid that goes into the school in the morning, you know, and they're waiting there for the gate to open,
That's
So-
funny.
they've all got their IDs. Yeah.
That's one of the things I want to work on. We've worked on so many different things. I've got this PE program too. I'm working on, but I want to work on dropping them off and picking them up in a safe environment. How do you feel about Desert Will about dropping them off there in the morning? Is it pretty chaotic or is it pretty organized?
You know, sometimes it gets a little out of control, and the cars are lined up 2 to 3 next to each other, like you're in a NASCAR race.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
You know,
In the middle of the street?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
It-
what it
it-
is.
well,
Yeah.
it's common all schools, not just in Palmdale School
Right.
District. It's just part of dropping them off and picking them up. And I think it's something I've been working with a highway patrolman, and he told me, he said, you know, there are things we could do, but we just need to bring the parents in and tell them, here's the way you should do it, and here's the ticket you're going to get when you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
My kids go to Sundown, and the highway patrol is there. I told you one year I was, you know, it would be the habit to make that left and then get into the middle divider. And one time I tried to make the left, and I was like, how come no one's here? Well, it was because the highway patrol was there.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of like stopped doing it now. No one does it anymore. They take their time. They go through the whole rigor of how they set up the drop-off.
Yeah, but we need to keep our kids safe. You know, there are occasions where a kid is hit, not necessarily in Palmdale, but throughout the valley, and we do not want that to happen.
No.
Yeah, and when you get into the junior high schools, there are a lot of kids that walk to and from, you know. Yeah, but at Desert Willow, if everybody went the same way,
Exactly.
that would really help, okay? But when you get it's like bumper cars,
Yeah.
okay? And then it's just out of
Exactly.
control.
And you know, it seems like little things, but when you talk to parents, that's one of the things they continually bring up is that they need to have a little more safety when they drop their kids off and pick them up. So that's something I want to work on this year.
Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday at the press conference.
Yeah. People, I think, raised an eyebrow like, why is she bringing this up? But I'm a grandma, and I went and took my kids over to Valley View, and it's like, oh my gosh, kids are walking between cars that are pulling
Yeah,
up.
that's dangerous.
That's where my son
Yeah.
my son went from beginning all the way through
Great
end
school.
of
yeah.
Valley View.
Yeah,
Great school.
But really crazy pulling in and out of there.
Now,
So-
do they have crossing guards and stuff in
They
at
do.
the junior
Yeah.
high schools?
They have them at all the schools. And
Oh.
and if there'll be even more than one if there's streets that feed into it. So we're really trying, but that's something I'm working on. I want to talk about PE. Can I do that?
Oh, PE.
Okay.
Oh, well, before we get on a
Okay.
big...
You want to take a quick break?
Yeah, why don't we take
So
a
we
quick break?
can pay for the
Okay.
show,
Then-
and
yeah.
we'll talk about PE.
Then we can stream
my son's,
uninterrupted.
that's
Yeah.
my son's one complaint.
God, I could
Oh,
talk.
Okay, is PE. But you're listening to AV Newscast on News Talk Radio 1380, the Antelope Valley's #1 news talk radio program, and we'll be right back.
Oh, can't stand it.
What's wrong, buddy?
I'm just trying to get all the tax stuff together and be ahead of the curve this time. Tell you what, no matter what I do, I always seem to get the short end of the stick.
Let me save you a little time and headache. Here's my guy's card. I just met with him yesterday. Give him a call.
Alan Rosenberg, Cal City Financial.
Yep. He's been doing my taxes for the past several years and has always gotten me the best returns. If it wasn't for him, I would have left all kinds of money on the table. He'll even take a look at the past 3 years and let you know if there's money there. And he'll do a tax planner to help keep you organized.
Cal City Financial, huh?
I wouldn't trust anyone else to do my taxes. You should give him a call.
Hi, I'm Alan Rosenberg of Cal City Financial. I've been doing individual and business tax returns for 10 years now, and I haven't raised my rates in 5 years. Not only that, I can come to you. I'm offering a $50 discount, and I could look at your last 3 years' returns to make sure nothing was overlooked. Call me, Alan Rosenberg, at 888-447-6870. That's 888-447-6870. I understand the new tax laws, and I want to help you survive them.
It was Henry Ford that said, "A man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time." Well, if you're a business owner, you know that advertising is a critical aspect to your business. But with so many options to choose from, finding the right advertising vehicle to promote and brand your business is sometimes easier said than done. Which is why we're always asked, where do I start? Or how much does it cost? Well, at High Desert Broadcasting, we realize that every business is looking for a return on their investment, which is why we specialize in helping local businesses, both large and small, that have budgets both large and small. We undoubtedly have a station that will help you reach your target demographic. a station that speaks to the diverse community represented here in the Antelope Valley. To find out how the radio stations of High Desert Broadcasting can help your business, call 947-3107. That's 947-3107. High Desert Broadcasting. We make it happen.
From the concert hall, now into the song and dance.
And welcome back to Avnewscast.com on News Talk 1380.
Okay, so we're going to talk about PE, and Carol said she wanted to mention that. I have to say that's the one thing in school that my son enjoys PE. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's no question about it, and he plays football and everything, but he hates the fact that he's got to change.
Oh, yeah, I'd never liked that.
That's a real... I used to hate that, too.
Me, too.
So when they come to high school, like I had freshmen my last year, and I handed them the report cards, and they all had Fs in PE. And they're passing most of their classes. And I said, what is this? What are you doing? We don't want to dress.
Yeah.
We got to get over that.
Yeah, get over it.
I dressed.
Clearly.
They used to make us shower. I mean, they don't even do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I remember trying not to break a sweat out there so I wouldn't have to
shower.
About it. Yeah.
But the whole world now is about health and fitness. And, I'm a woman in my 60s, and I go to the gym 4 times a week. But I didn't do that as a little kid. I didn't do that growing up. But Jeff Leeds, who is a PE teacher at our Learning Plaza, he contacted me, and we went to a school called Sierra Vista down in Santa Clarita. And their whole thing is about PE. They have their vocabulary words on the back of their shirts with the definitions in the back. Yeah. And they have all these great things that they do, and it's kind of like a survivor camp, you go against each other. And their whole gym is made up of things you can work out with. But so Jeff has insanity workouts. He puts them. They go into the choir room and they put it in, and it goes up on the screen. There's a screen, and the kids all work out. And 2 or 3 times a week they run around the field until they could all at least run a mile. And that's a big thing. And the kids love it. And they even come back to him and say when they go to high school, you made a difference in my life. You made me take a personal charge of my own fitness. It wasn't about school. It was about my own health.
Wow. That was great.
Yeah, and so we're going to try to do that throughout our schools. We're working on it. And he and I met with a group that do fundraising through the auto mall and some different things. And so they're trying to get money so maybe we can get some cardio watches. Ooh. I know. And I'm very excited about this. It's a passion I have. I've only been going to the gym steady now for 1.5 years, but I just find I feel so much better, and I know those kids will too. And now it's cool to wear your workout clothes anywhere.
Yeah, and it's really critical because we, as a generation that didn't emphasize on exercise at all, you get older and then they say, "Oh, you should be doing this," and you're like, "Come on, really?" You got to make yourself. So if that's emphasized when we're younger, and there's an appreciation for it, it'll take them the extended life right there. Well,
Jeff is doing this huge thing about what you eat, and having the kids do a dietary plan, because they have lots of kids who eat a lot of beans and a lot of rice and things like that, and so he's talking about portion control and fruit and vegetables.
Get all that processed stuff out of it.
Oh my!
Tell the kids what's in the McDonald's French fries.
Yeah.
Don't you love those?
Yes.
But I only eat them once a year, so there you go.
Wow.
I go to my class reunions, and I went to school, like I said, at AV High School, and I go, and some of them are just look so old. And it's about movement. It's about getting up and moving. And my doctor told me when I retired, he said, if you stay on that sofa, you're going to gain 10 pounds. He said, you need to get up and move. So I've worked really hard, and it's a fight all the time, but I feel so much better. And Jeff says the kids at the Learning Plaza, they love PE, and the parents now are buying the insanity workouts and doing them with their kids. So it's more than just the kids. It's a whole community culture. And most of the schools in Palmdale are neighborhood schools where parents walk their kids into school, and the parents want to be engaged. They want to be part of it. I could see us doing having the gym with a big screen TV on it, and inviting the neighborhood in, and
that'd be nice. Zumba on Saturday.
Yeah,
that would be cool. Well, kids have gotten a little bit lazier because Especially with video games and Xbox. Now instead of going outside and playing baseball or football or whatever it is, hey, I'm going to get on that and play with that for 3 hours.
Yes.
So,
easy.
Both my kids are vice principals in the high school district, and they're both in charge of athletics. And their families are amazing. My son Blake and his wife go to the Monster Gym, and my husband's going with them. They're all boxing, and they're the 5-year-olds, twins, have been going there since they were born, and they do little workouts too. And my other son Eric, the one that we went to school with, Jeff. His girls think a good time is to run up a hill.
Nice.
And we went to Tahoe and they made me hike up to a waterfall. Come on, Grandma, you can do it. You can do it. So, there's a culture now of young people trying to be healthy and trying to eat right. Yeah, and they all cook. They really cook good food. So I'm very proud of that.
Now, what about the foods? There's a federal lunch program that they suggest, what food should be done. And in fact, in New York, the school district there yesterday opted out of the federal lunch program.
Really?
They opted out yesterday, and it was actually they were running a deficit of about $70,000 to participate in that, and the kids didn't want it. The kids were throwing out, we don't want the fruit, we don't want the vegetables, we want other stuff.
What do they want?
I can see it.
They want burritos?
Yeah. Well, whatever, but they didn't want, what they were getting.
Burritos and cinnamon rolls.
Actually, the food of choice are Cheetos.
Oh,
Those hot Cheetos. That's the kids just love those. But what we do, in fact, I just had lunch with the woman who was just the former head of our nutrition, and now Todd Sherlin is. But we buy from a co-op, and it's not too bad. I eat there quite often, and a cool thing that we do is that if something is wrapped, or it's an orange or an apple, and you don't want it, there's a shelf you can put it back up on, and no one goes without eating in our schools.
Nice.
Anybody can eat there. We have a lot of fresh things. We'll have like turkey sliders. They're not bad. They're not bad at all.
That sounds kind of nasty. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that turkey slider just
they're
doesn't.
not bad. They're
actually they're
great.
good. All right, but you have choices. You have like a cup of I love this. They have the dried cranberries. You could have a cup of those, or you could have a cup of you could have an apple, or you could have peach slices. I mean, there's always fruit. There's always vegetables, and
they want the Big Mac.
Well, I love my red meat, but Cindy and we get ground turkey, and we dice up bell pepper real fine and onion and mushroom, and then mix it all in a little Parmesan and make patties out of it. I'll eat that over a hamburger any day.
Yeah, but you can't get that at school.
No, but I mean,
it's not. There's always something
retraining.
fresh. There's always something fresh there. Some kind of fresh fruit, some kind of fresh vegetables, and you'd be surprised the amount of kids that really like to eat that. When I was growing up, we had processed fish sticks and hamburger day and whatever, but I actually think the food in Palmdale is pretty good. They even have cupcakes and they're made like gluten-free kind of thing, and they're in a little sealed thing, and they tasted as good as Nadia's or Double D. They were good.
Oh.
No, my son Tyler, he doesn't complain about the food, and he's eating it because you know what? It cost me a fortune, $100 a month.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cheap.
It's
if you think
really?
about it. If you were making him lunch at home,
yeah,
I think you'd spend more than $100
for lunch.
No, for $100 a month.
$100
for lunch.
Yeah, no. Well, he eats breakfast at the school too.
Oh, he eats breakfast.
Oh, there's two.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because he's eating like a horse, but he's a thin little guy. But he has breakfast at home, and then I take him to school. Then he goes in the cafeteria and has breakfast again.
Good for him.
And then he has lunch. Yeah, the kid's killing
And then
me.
he comes home and has lunch.
And then he comes home and has more lunch.
Yeah. Our 5-year-old twins, we have a boy and a girl. The little boy, Chase, he could eat all day long.
Yeah.
And we just don't let him, And he would just eat chicken nuggets and French fries. That's what he would eat. But instead, he has oatmeal and apples, and because the parents are being responsible. And again, I think that the school district is being. Unfortunately, it's trying to be the parent in this, and that they're making sure that there are good, sound foods there, not just
sometimes
French
that's
fries
the only,
and chicken nuggets.
That's the only good meal they get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's the flaming hot Cheetos when they get home.
I think 65 to 70% of our kids are on free and reduced lunch, and they'll get breakfast and they'll get lunch, and it's a good thing.
It is a good
Yeah.
thing. It absolutely is, because
You can't teach them if they haven't got food in their
no,
stomach.
and you know, I see these kids that are walking to school, and I'll just say Desert Willow as an example because that's what I see. Some of them look very unhappy in the morning walking to school. Okay,
With no coats on.
No, I mean like they came from somewhere that's unhappy. I mean they just and I can see this. You can actually
Disheveled.
see
Read
it
it on them. Yeah.
in their faces
Yeah.
that that it's just not good, and that really bothers me. So the fact that at least they can get to school and be with friends and have food and meals,
Yeah.
I think is a really big plus.
Right.
I do too. It's hard to be a little kid, isn't it?
It is.
I wouldn't do it again for anything.
Well, I would do it again, totally.
Oh,
But
couldn't
it
pay
is
me.
hard.
They are they are just the sweetest kids in these schools. You go there. I'm getting ready to do Read Across America for Dr. Seuss Days, and I love doing that. And they'll ask questions. I'll say, "How old are you?
No.
Are you were a teacher? Yeah." And you'll read the books, and they'll just ask all kinds of questions because they're just curious, and they're just so sweet about it. You go into the classrooms, and the atmosphere in the room is kind of homey. I don't know. You feel like that this is their place. This is where they know they're safe. They feel good, and they get a lot of affirmation, and that's what teaching is about, making them feel like you can do it.
With what happened in Newtown in Connecticut, school safety is paramount. And I know Senator Steve Knight supported a bill, actually, and he put support behind a bill to actually have armed guards at schools. Okay, whether that happens or not is, secondary. That doesn't make any difference. But now down below the LA Unified School District, they just decided to spend $4.5 million putting 2 people that are trained, not armed, but trained, at every single school in the LAUSD.
I think it's like $200,000 to $300,000 a year by the time you have an officer who has a car, a patrol car, and gets insurance and that kind of thing. I mean, it all is in one big bundle. I had a young man come out and fix my computer the other day, and he is just gone out from the sheriff's department. He had been hurt, and he's still a young man. And he said, "Why don't they hire a bunch of us to come in and be part-time supervisors?" There's a lot of retired law enforcement or people who have been out on disabilities who could come in. We're trained. We already know what we're doing. And we don't need insurance. We've already got it. And we would work for so much less.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's a thought. There really is.
That's great.
I bet the valley is full of people that are retired from law enforcement.
Absolutely.
Especially
I know
up
several,
here.
yeah.
Especially up here. There's no question about it. The schools up here frequently go on lockdown.
Yes.
I know my son's school has gone on lockdown this year several times. A lot of it is an exercise. A lot of it is there is something that was in the general vicinity. It didn't necessarily present a threat to the school, but just to be 100% sure, okay, the school goes on lockdown.
And
I think that's awesome.
Those kids are our responsibility, and it's our job to keep them safe. And what happened at Sandy Hook, oh my gosh, I mean, who would ever think of that scenario? But
Never.
I have been in lockdown a couple times when I was at the high school district, and one time there was a guy out on this roof behind the school with a BB gun, and they brought like the SWAT team in. But still, if you think about it,
Get him.
you needed to do that.
Yeah. When I drop my grandkids off every day, and I'm a freak about it until they get past that gate. And that's it for me. I mean, once they get past that gate, I know that they're the safest that they can possibly be. And that's what we want for all our kids to be. And the minute they pass that gate, I mean, I actually watch them, there's school buses that kind of blocked my vision. I'm like, I want to make sure they get past the school buses. I'm like, there could be any kind of nut right there.
Well, just like the 14-year-old girl in Lancaster,
Right.
Yes.
months
With the-
back, that was walking to school, okay, that was assaulted and raped in the bushes. That's what you don't want.
And she's 14. You would think she could walk to school.
That's just terrible. I walked I walked to AV High School 3 years out of the 4 years that I went there, and I just can't even fathom that. But
The world was different back then.
Yeah, but one of the things that we have that we're working on right now is the fact that we want our campuses to be parent friendly. but we also need our parents to realize that we can't just have open gates and doors.
Yes.
And everything has to be locked down, and you have to come through one entrance. And that's hard because parents want to watch their kid go in that front gate. And so as we're building new schools, we're building the Millen School. We're working really hard to make sure that when you drop your kids off, it's a friendly atmosphere and there's nothing blocking it.
One of the things I love about Palmdale over Lancaster is that
Thank you.
is that you don't make it so onerous, though, because we have, if I want to volunteer in my child's class there, I got to come up with the live scan out of my own pocket. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And
so who can volunteer? Who's got $75 to that's a beautiful thing
they
about
need to
Palmdale
catch
School
that.
District.
I mean, that's
that's
you know,
ridiculous.
that's something they totally need to go ahead and do.
I'm still, I do expulsions for the high school, even though I'm retired. That's very interesting. But anyway, I had to pay the $75 fee to and go have a drug test and the whole thing, even though I had been a lifetime employee of theirs. And so I know what you're talking about.
I've been TB tested. I've got that fine and all, but that it's just onerous.
But it's a nice thing that Palmdale has that on site.
Absolutely.
And they do it for the parents that want to get involved and volunteer. And
Come on, Lancaster.
Yeah, we need to get Lancaster to get on the board.
Yay, Palmdale.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that I worked all those years for the high school district, and I loved it. My heart was there. But I have made the transfer. My school district now is Palmdale School District, and I'm just so loyal. Somebody said to me yesterday, "Why aren't you running for the high school board?" And I said, "Yeah, my heart is here. Yeah. This is where I'm at, and this is where I'm going to stay."
Will you stick around for a minute? We have to take a break, but I want to talk about you're running for re-election.
Sure.
What changes and what you want to do coming up for your next 4 years? Okay. All right, so stick around. You're listening to AV Newscast on News Talk Radio 1380, and we'll be right back.
This is fun.
There's a school in Palmdale that's become the talk of the town. It's called the Guidance Charter School, and many parents say it's magical. The Guidance Charter School is WAS certified, scored 783 in academic performance, and has an educational curriculum that exceeds what the state of California recommends. The curriculum is enriched through age-appropriate exposure for information technology, arts, foreign language such as Arabic, and physical education. The Guidance Charter School is now going to have a full CIF sports program with soccer, basketball, track, cheerleading, and more. They're an open enrollment school, publicly funded, and have been in business for 12 years, fully approved by Palmdale School District. The Guidance Charter School has small class sizes such as 20 students in grades K through 3, 25 in 4 through 8, and just 30 students in grades 9 through 12. Call the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale today at 661-272-1701. That's the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale, 661-272-1701. And check out their website at thegcs.org. A better high school choice.
If you're a business owner or are looking to start a business, there's nothing more important than advertising and branding that business. Successful entrepreneurs realize that advertising is truly the key to their success. And with so many options to choose from, let us submit to you why radio is so effective. Research normally tells us that radio reaches over 93% of the total U.S. population, and that radio ads regularly reach customers within 2 hours of their biggest purchase. That's because radio sells with immediacy. Radio ads provide consumers with last-minute information about products and services before they shop. Radio is not only one of the most effective mediums, it's also one of the most affordable. So if you're not sure where to place your advertising dollars, give the stations of High Desert Broadcasting a call and let one of our experienced radio marketing consultants help you. Just call 947-3107. That's 947-3107. With 7 stations, including Spanish, we definitely have the ability to reach a diverse audience, your potential customers. High Desert Broadcasting. We make it happen.
And welcome back to avnewscast.com on News Talk 1380. We're with Carol Stanford.
Carol Stanford, board member for the Palmdale School District. So, Carol, you're running for re-election. And now, what do you want to, what's your mainstay? What do you want to accomplish being re-elected in your next 4 years?
Well, one of the things that I really, my heart is really wrapped around this is the fact that since when I came on the board, we were pretty good. We were good in our financial ways and the way our reserve and the way we handled things. And so things have gotten rough over the last couple of years, and we've been real careful. We haven't had to lay off any teachers through attrition and retirement. We've made it all work. But it's going to get rougher, and I want to see us enrollment come back up, and I want to see us have enough money that our teachers do get step and column, and they get yearly raises. So it's not that they're not. I don't know that they consider those raises, but they do earn their way into more money. But so that we can give more money out to our classified and our teachers. Right now we're okay. We're doing good, but it's been on their backs that we've done a lot of things over the last couple of years, and I appreciate all the hard work that they've done. I was a teacher. I know exactly how that was. Right now we have a proposal that I'm sure that this is not going to happen, but in May we'll know where our real finances are, and we'll know where we're going to really be. But it's hard on them while they're waiting. It's like every year they get a notice that they might be laid off or rifted, and a lot of it is done on their backs, and they've been real team players throughout the whole thing. So we need to take care of them. Yeah. The other thing I want to do, though, is that we're on the road to improving the way we teach kids, and we need to stay on that course. Like I said, we're just getting ready to open the Millen School. It does exist on Summer Wind's campus, and it's a junior high, and it's doing great. But our schools of choice are going to make the difference in the Palmdale School District, and I know Westside's trying to do that too. They've opened like a little academy that's tied to aerospace, but and that's the Anderson School. But these are the things that make kids, when they walk to school in the morning, look happy instead of sad. Mm-hmm. And that might be what it's all about.
I think you have something there, because I grew up in New York.
Mm-hmm.
School system completely different.
You have names for your schools.
No, they're numbers. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the thing is that when we had midterms, it was literally what we were taught from September to the mid of the term. There was no, here's your study guide, nothing. You just needed to know the material that was given to you. But the point that I wanted to make that I like the idea of the choice schools is, in high school and in junior high in New York, you can go wherever you want to go. Mm-hmm. And all you have to do, if you're interested in aerospace, if you're interested in medical, if you're interested in whatever it is, you go find the school that specializes or dedicates the majority of the learning experience in that, and that's the school you go to. So oftentimes a kid in junior high is on the train for an hour and a half to get to school, but it's the school that they want to go to.
Mm-hmm. It makes all the difference in the world.
It does.
In fact, I was thinking about this, is that all those years that I taught, I liked it. I liked my job. I liked getting up in the morning and going to work. I can't imagine having a job that I hated and doing it for years. I feel sorry for anybody who had to do that. It was hard to retire, and so I'm on the school board, so maybe I haven't. But I know. I totally understand what you're saying. It's all about having a buy-in.
Yeah.
And in our schools of choice, and our teachers and parents and everybody want to be there.
Yeah, my son loves his art. You mentioned that you want to see enrollment go up.
Well,
student enrollment?
A little bit. We have a lot. We have over 20,000 kids, and maybe about 22 with early childhood. I mean, that's a lot of kids. At one time, we were like 24,000. Not so much enrollment go up, but I'd like to. One thing I haven't said here, if I could change anything, our cap right now is 31 kids in a classroom. And when I went back to Harvard and I rode on the bus with all these administrators to the classes we took, that's unheard of in other states. Nobody has these big classes, only California. Yeah. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the high schools even have more. Why are we not lowering our class sizes? And people will say to me when we had 20 to 1, they said, well, that didn't work. Are you kidding? Oh, that worked.
It did work.
I loved it. I had a 6-period class. I had 20 kids in it. I covered twice the material. The grades were higher. I was so happy. I mean, don't tell me I did less work. I didn't. I just did more meaningful work because I had 20 kids. I would be happy to have 30 kids in a classroom or 25. So I asked these people back there, I said, how big are your classes? 18 to 22. I'm going, well,
my daughter's class was pushing 40 at the beginning of the school year.
And what grade is she in?
5th.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
But you're going to be even more coveted. People in Lancaster like us are going to, want to take advantage of those choice schools. So you're going to have to open up some new ones.
But that's by lottery though.
Yeah. But
we're still going to want it.
Yeah. Palmdale residents get the first choice, though,
Yeah,
and then if there's openings. But
She opened up that office on Lancaster Boulevard now, too.
Yeah, which I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So the Palmdale School District opened a little satellite office
Yes, we
for
did.
early education on the boulevard in Lancaster.
Roger was grinning over that.
I bet.
Well, I think that's one. I think it's a good teaming relationship where you've got one school district in another city that opens up, with the blessing of another city right on their main boulevard.
But why would they do that?
Because you get so many slots for early childhood, and so other school districts gave them up, and we took them. So we were able to take these slots that were available throughout the valley and put them in a place that needed them more, and put our teachers down there. So it's a good thing. It really is. And we put Palmdale School District on a sign on Lancaster Boulevard, and we're just all going, oh my gosh.
I actually, the day they were putting the sign out in front of the office, I actually drove by. Chris Spiker did too. Drove by and actually saw the Palmdale School District trucks on the boulevard installing the sign.
Yes, here we are.
which was really neat. We've got a caller maybe that wants to talk about what we were talking about, so let's just put him on.
Okay.
All right. Hi, you're on News Talk Radio. You're live.
Yeah, what are we talking about today?
Oh, schools. Hey, James.
How are you doing?
Did you have Miss Stanford for English in high school?
No, I did not.
No?
No.
Did you go to Palmdale?
Yes, I did.
That's where we met, 4th grade. We've been best buds ever since.
What's James' last name?
Walker.
Okay.
I got to pick
Yeah.
Let me reach in and get my wallet out.
Okay.
You're gonna
Not
do
many
that?
people I carry a picture of.
You know you don't have it still.
I do.
Oh,
I got
plus.
two.
So
I
when
got
did you,
that
when did
junior
you
prom.
graduate from Palmdale?
88.
Okay, did you know my son then?
Eric Stanford?
You know what? It's been 20, almost 30 years. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but, it's hard for me to remember my name.
Oh,
I loved that school back then. That was so much fun. We had such a good time.
that was a hoot.
I know. I did ASB then, and it was just a good time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to hear from you.
It's good to hear from you. I was like, wondering what was going on. I said, I would call.
Are you listening to the show, or are you
I'm
just
looking at
cold
your
calling?
picture, James. Oh my gosh, you got some hair.
Yeah, it was the 80s, so I expect
I had a lot of hair then too.
Oh, yeah, I think we all did.
Oh wow, that's a cool.
Maybe not
picture.
Steve, but
Oh,
Yeah, you know what? Palmdale was Carmichael principal then?
yes.
Yeah,
I do recall.
it was fun. I remember, I had both my daughter-in-law and my son in my English class at different times, and I had
nice.
such great kids that went through there, and they went on to I had Harvard and Yale and all kinds of kids that went on to school. I know, and we just drew from all over the place.
James, how was your experience with Palmdale School District?
not very good.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry I asked. Here I go.
Well, you had my nutty uncle there for a while, too, so he was horrible.
Oh, God bless. You won't let it die, will you? I want to let it die.
Well, he was horrible. But he's gone now, so we've made improvements. So.
Well, James, you'd be happy to know that we have really picked up the pace here. Things are going good.
Well, that's awesome. That's great. It really is. No more bullying by the teachers or anything, right?
No.
Really?
Oh, I said my nutty uncle's gone. So.
Was that your
that
experience?
Was in high school.
Oh, that was high school? Okay, well, that's good. You can go there. Don't go there on my school district. Actually, I wasn't a bully at Palmdale High School.
No, you weren't.
No.
No. There were others.
No.
Okay, we're not going to go there.
No.
Wow.
No, I'm not going to go there. I have nothing but love.
Good.
I hate no one. I'm over it. Lots of therapy.
Wow, inquiring minds want to know about it.
Really? You're going to have to call back another time.
Yeah,
please.
We'll have to do this on a whole nother show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll have the James show. That'll be nice.
Yeah,
Woohoo.
we'll do that. Hey, thanks for calling in, James.
You have a great day.
Hey,
too.
bye,
Thanks,
James.
Bye-bye.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Carol, reducing classroom size, is that a dream or could it be a reality?
Well, right now with the money, it's not a reality. And it's something that they want. The union has really, they're always asking for it. And it just seems to be something that we keep adding to because there's not enough money. I think sometimes when things get hard financially, some good things can come out of it. You cut some waste that you don't need so you can add the things you do. And so what I'm hoping to see is that, we have Kathy Shepard as our financial superintendent, and she's really good with this stuff. And what we're hoping to see is that we can, make lemonade out of this. And but we're not going to go down in class size this year. As a teacher, that's one of that and salary. Those are big things.
Right, and what you can't really reduce the classroom size unless you have more classrooms.
Right,
and then you need more space.
And you hire more teachers.
And more teachers, so it's just not going to be.
And it will fill right up.
But
too.
why does California do this to itself when other states are so much more successful? I mean, it's no wonder we rank where we rank, because we make our classrooms too big.
Well, California shoots themselves in the foot in many different areas.
Exactly.
Yes, it's what we do.
And so the union is saying to us, help us with this, and that would be something I really want to do.
But I know, again, I reference New York because that's where I grew up. The schools were gigantic. It was not, the school sizes that I experienced when I came to California, as far as in terms of how big the structure is nothing compared to how big. My high school or my junior high in New York had 8 floors.
Wow.
It was 8 floors.
Really?
It was 8 floors.
And on another note on this, on the other side, is that if you're a good teacher, and I think I really was, you can handle a large class. It's not a problem. Mm-hmm. But if you're a beginning, struggling teacher who's just learning how to do it, it's a little hard. I had some really large classes when I was at Palmdale, sometimes 50 in a class.
Wow.
I know it just didn't seem to work that way, but I taught them and I controlled them, and it was. I liked them.
I could just see that some of the kids sitting on bookshelves, writing in their
they
Trapper
did.
Keeper on their lap, and
Well, that's when kids kind of still respected teachers. You know what I mean? And you had that kind of.
That's what's so cool about elementary school, and when I was in high school, my kids all respected me. I didn't have a problem with that, but they are so sweet and so they want your approval. They want to do what's right, and from kindergarten on, they love the little protocols and the rules, and they like lining up. And elementary school teachers work so much harder than anybody else because it's all about the flow, and it's an art form, and the kids love it. And if it isn't there, they go berserk.
Oh yeah, they need order.
They do.
It.
They love it.
Yep.
You're making me think of my grandson. He's in the 2nd grade, and I went and spoke to his teacher a week ago, and he's doing well. And I just remember looking over to him, and he's looking like with these great big doe eyes, like, I'm doing okay, I'm listening, I'm behaving, and it's so true. They love the structure. Mm-hmm. They love to expect everything that she's got lined up every single day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not a new teacher. She's a very seasoned teacher. So she's no nonsense.
It's an art. It's an art.
And she's got it down.
And one of the things I love, people would say to me, how do you teach these kids? I always had good kids. The whole time I worked in the high school district, I always had good kids. Sometimes you have kids who have other things going on in their life, but if you just say to them, you know what, you just got to give me this 50 minutes, and then you can get up and you got to move them around a little bit. They can't sit there for 50 minutes. So about every 15 minutes you change to something else. So you have movement in your classroom.
Yeah, what I do want to talk about, and we have to take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk about the curriculum. The state of California has a recommended curriculum. Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to talk about that versus the curriculum in the school district and really what we're doing for the kids.
Okay.
All right? So let's just take
good.
a quick break. You're listening to Avnewscast on News Talk Radio 1380, the Antelope Valley's #1 News Talk radio program, and we'll be right back.
Remember when your neighbor found us naked in the car, and the time some outdoor action got us kicked out of the park? Getting frisky in the dark, I gave your eye a poke. I think the dog is also in the bed. Do I smell smoke? You and me, we never give up. You and me, we never give up. You and me, we never give up. You and me, we never ever give up. Getting hot and heavy with the whipped cream that we bought, and dressing in the kitchen and then getting caught. So many things can go wrong, but we still can get it right. You and me, we're not gonna give up tonight.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Visit bedsider.org to compare all the choices and put the bogus myths to bed at bedsider.org.
But we got options tonight.
Brought to you by Bedsider and the Ad Council. Bedsider.org.
There's a school in Palmdale that's become the talk of the town. It's called the Guidance Charter School, and many parents say it's magical. The Guidance Charter School is WAS certified, scored 783 in academic performance, and has an educational curriculum that exceeds what the state of California recommends. The curriculum is enriched through age-appropriate exposure for information technology, arts, foreign language such as Arabic, and physical education. The Guidance Charter School is now going to have a full CIF sports program with soccer, basketball, track, cheerleading, and more. They're an open enrollment school, publicly funded, and have been in business for 12 years, fully approved by Palmdale School District. The Guidance Charter School has small class sizes such as 20 students in grades K through 3, 25 in 4 through 8, and just 30 students in grades 9 through 12. Call the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale today at 661-272-1701. That's the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale, 661-272-1701. And check out their website at thegcs.org. A better high school choice.
Beats. And welcome back to avnewscast.com on News Talk 1380.
Listen to that incoming music.
I love it.
You know, I do like it. Yeah, I really do. Okay, the curriculum in the school, Carol. I know I've been told that the state of California has like a recommended curriculum. And then, you can build upon that. Is that right? Am I right or am I wrong?
They do. No Child Left Behind is still existing, and we have the state tests that we take. But they give you standards, and right now we're figuring out which ones are the essential standards. We're spending time on the ones that count the most. When I first helped introduce No Child Left Behind, we were part of it. It was a hard thing to do because we bought textbooks and it was kind of rote. It was like you have to do this lesson, you have to do this, you got to teach this, and then we had these tests that we took every quarter to get us ready to take the state tests, and so it was all about getting ready for that test. And it kind of takes some of the curiosity out of it and some of the discussion of reading the novels or doing. And they're testing mainly on math, and they're testing on language arts. In the grade schools, they're testing on science and social studies, but it was a good thing and a bad thing all at one time. So now what's coming in is called Common Core, and again, these essential standards. We've got another year to get ready for it, but we're implementing it now in Palmdale School District. And I met with a large group of teachers the other day, and they just said, some of them said, well, some schools are really getting it, but some aren't. And it's a huge adjustment, and it's a huge thing on the back of our teachers to say, okay, now we're going to switch gears. And instead of using those textbooks that told you day one, do this, you're now going to have snippets of things that you have to bring in and find yourself.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so they have websites, and all the testing is going to be on computers. And we're going to more rigor. We're going to more written responses. And somebody was talking about a college class they were taking that they blogged on. I mean, the kids are going to be able to actually interact with this test. But change is hard.
But it's not standardized with this the new way that you're speaking of. You can get, it could be 5 English teachers, and depending on how much work the teachers put in prior to. Exactly. And,
wow. And the big thing is I haven't seen the test. I haven't seen how it works. I did go to one of the presentations that Dee Jameson did for our teachers. And like I said, there are 2 schools that have already picked it up, and they love it, and they know what they're doing. But we need to send some of those teachers to the other schools to help them love it, because it's not as easy as it looks, and some of them they're just saying, we want to do a good job, help us.
So where does it leave the kids that might be left behind if they have a real ambitious teacher? And she's like, oh, we're doing Othello this week, and
I'm not sure. They have suggested certain things that you're supposed to use to do it, but you can as long as you're teaching the standard, you can use your own literatures or literature or math or whatever it is you're teaching. But I'm not sure. I'm going to do instructional rounds next month at one of the schools, and I'm going to go in and see how we're trying to implement it, and I'll have a better understanding of it then. But we're evolving. We're not going to. We want kids to be able to go out and get jobs and to be able to. I said this before when we had our press conference. It's all about being able to put that baby crib together or that swing set, because it came with 100 little screws, and you got to read the directions, and you can't. We've all got to be able to move on in life, to move from one job to another. We just can't
That's one of the things I like about the idea with the Aerospace Academy and everything. Not every
Oh.
child is going to go to college.
Right,
It's
and
just,
so-
that's just the way it is. But to have them leave school prepared to be able
With
to...
an associate's.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
great.
To work.
Which is a great thing.
That's
It
awesome.
absolutely is. But they stimulate, at the Aerospace Academy, they stimulate
They
the kids
do.
with so many other things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to get somebody that comes in from NASA to talk,
Right.
I mean,
ridiculous.
it is.
You should see how they dress. It is so cute. It's business attire.
I love that.
So you go in, they got little vests on, little ties, and so Friday they've made Casual Friday that you can wear jeans, but they still wear the little ties with their shirt.
You should all have to come in flight suits, shouldn't they? It's the Aerospace Academy.
And they are so polite. We went over there and they thanked us for coming. All the schools are like that. We have several schools that do wear uniforms, and both of our dual immersion schools, they wear like the khaki pants and the white polo shirts and green polo shirts.
I think it's important because some of these kids have no idea how to put it together when they need to.
At the last school board meeting I went to, they had some kids from a
Yes.
school, and I forgot which one, and they were showing off their
Dos
uniforms.
Caminos.
And these little kids were, not only did they really look great, but they were so proud in their uniforms. I think it's just absolutely great.
So there again is that school of choice where the parents had buy-in, because in the audience, those parents were sitting there with those little kids just beaming. And the PTA at that school, I don't even know if you call it PTA anymore, but the PTA has like 130 members, and there weren't even that many kids in the school. The grandparents joined. I mean, it's just such buy-in, and this is working.
Yeah.
I think uniforms are a good thing. I think kids feel more connected to the school, putting on that uniform. I really do.
Well, I like, what school was it that they dress professionally? That's not
That's
a uniform,
Aerospace.
right? They just
Aerospace
dress
Academy.
professionally.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Isn't? It's
Love
so
it.
cute.
Yeah.
It's really, really cute.
Yeah, I think that's
It changes your mindset. This is serious.
True.
You need to go here and get what you need to get to go to the next level.
So
Right.
this is an independent charter school, and I'm not. My board is not over it. It has its own board, but it has 7th, 8th, and 9th, and it's going to be eventually K through 12. And we're going to keep adding grade levels as we go. And I would have loved to have taught at some place like that. Bill Warford is teaching English there, and he said, he put on Facebook the other day, he said a group of kids came in after school to help him do little chores in the room, and he thought they were so sweet. We have kids on the east side of Palmdale who are at these schools that things are going so well, and sometimes people stereotype, it's the east side of Palmdale. I mean, great things are going on.
Well, I've heard stories about kids that got into the Aerospace Academy that came from another school. They were not necessarily doing very well in the school they came from. They've been so motivated at the Aerospace Academy that they're really excelling.
Isn't that what it's about?
That's the point.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
When you trigger a child with something they're interested in, and not just the same, I mean, the sky's the limit.
But they're
sti-
engaged.
But it's technology, it's tablets. They introduce so much stuff over there that would be great if it could happen in every
Across
single
the
school.
board, yeah.
So, and one of the things, and I think you have to give Roger Galisi credit for this, is that was the old cactus. Is that what it was? Or sage?
Yeah.
Sage
it was
before,
sage,
yeah.
and
Main cactus.
and it had gotten old. We do have the planetarium there, and that worked great for the Aerospace Academy, but. We moved Mesa and Cactus in together over on the old Mesa campus, and that school is doing amazing. I mean, it's just great things are happening there. And we took a campus that wasn't thriving and made it into the Aerospace Academy.
It's still hard for me to get behind that, though, because I came from Juniper. That was our big enemy there. Sage.
My kids, Juniper did wonderful things for my kids. Mr. Menzer, Mr. Meyerhofer, all those people who taught there. And so right now we're evolving into other things to make what Juniper was, a community school, make another school a school of choice that'll have that same kind of passion.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I've got like 1 minute left in the show.
Aw.
Okay, and that's it. I want to thank you for coming on, Carol.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
I think it's great, and voters, people that are out there, you need to get out and vote.
Yes, they do.
Carol's running for re-election on the Palmdale School Board, and you need to get out there and vote for Carol.
Absolutely.
It's that simple.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
You know what
no,
to do.
No argument. Yep.
Yeah.
It's where my heart's at.
Right. Tomorrow, our guest will be Fred Thompson, who's running for the Palmdale City Council, and he'll be in studio, so that's going to be a great show as well.
Nice.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow.